Good afternoon and welcome to Lunchtime Coaching. My name is Britz, executive coach, trainer, international leadership facilitator, and host to the Lunchtime series where we add value to people's lives, happening every day at 12 on ebizradio.com. Today we're chatting to the sales evangelist. He evangelizes effective ways salespeople and entrepreneurs can find more qualified prospects, close more deals, and make more money. He does this through motivating sales training, online courses, one-on-one coaching, workshops, seminars, and dynamic keynote presentations. Welcome to Lunchtime Coaching, Donald C. Kelly. Donald, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, Kevin. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and to be in front of your community and to chat, share some insights that can help you all.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you. I know that you're a busy man. I've listened to some of your podcasts and I love the insights. Don't you want to just give everyone listening some background on who you are, what you do, and your entry point into sales? I find it always interesting when people, because so many people have such a thing about, I'm not a salesperson, and yeah, you are thriving in the sales. But give us some insight on where you're from, and let's start there.
Sure. So I grew up in Jamaica, moved to the United States when I was 9, and in that childhood, Jamaica is where you if you want to succeed, you got to make something happen. The economy isn't perfect, but people create businesses, they create opportunities. And in that same vein, I saw my family were always creating businesses. My dad, my aunt, my cousin, even my mom had a business at one point. And in all of that, it just showed me that if you want to make something happen, you go out and do it. I thought it was being a businessman. That's what they say in Jamaica. But when I came to the United States, I realized that was selling, because in order for a business to thrive or to succeed, it must have a way of generating revenue or generating income. And it has to be somebody in the forefront being willing to do that. So fast forward when I got into college, I had this outgoing personality. So people said you should consider sales. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that that's not true. Outgoing doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a great salesperson. And I learned, and I succeeded though after making a lot of mistakes. And then I went into business, B2B sales for to sell into other businesses after college. And I had a whole new world in front of me. And then a lot of it I didn't know how to navigate. And then eventually I was able to get the training, which helped me to succeed. So I could go ahead and start sharing this with other people, helping them to not only succeed in a sales capacity, but also as a business. And if your business want to thrive, you must have some way to generate revenue. Even if you don't like to sell, who cares? You have a problem that your customers have, and your job is to solve that. But nobody's going to know about your solution if you're not willing to open your mouth. And I want to give people the most effective ways of doing that when it comes to sales. So that's kind of like me, and that's our business and how we developed. But after doing the podcast for a couple of years, it really got feet of its own and grew. And then in 2015, I left my full-time sales role and dedicated my time wholly to the sales evangelist. And now we have a thriving organization where we're coaching and training and developing and speaking at events to help salespeople around the world.
Fantastic. So when we first had it, we had this conversation. One of the things that you really want to touch on was mindset. Don't you want to preface just what we're going to talk about today and why this is important?
Yeah, I really want to give a view of. I want to share with you guys some insight on our belief system and the way that we think, how that affects not only our sales performances, but also our performance as a human being, the thing that we're passionate for. Because a lot of you are business owners, or a lot of you are coaches, so you're a business owner. So you're gonna see how the mindset can help shape your sales, but also how it will help you in your capacity as a business owner to thrive. And we'll give you some examples and some people that have applied it, how they've adjusted their mindset, and give you some ideas on how you can change your mindset.
Fantastic. And don't you? I'm like, as someone who does this, as someone who has this conversation daily, do you think that that's sort of a key entry point to any salespeople out there is around belief systems? Do you think that's sort of a place to start? I know that, from an NLP perspective, from training neurolinguistics, it's so important to be able to understand how to use language more effectively, and why use language in a certain way, but also how that lands in your audience. But very often we kind of forget that it's just this external thing that we focus on, but yet intrinsically we need to start looking at ourselves first before we actually get to just doing that sales thing.
Yeah, 100%. I'm 100% believer in this, and I'll tell you why. Because it doesn't matter what it is in life. If I've come to learn, I thought it was a desire. If people had a desire to succeed, but they must have a belief that they're going to succeed. So let me give you some examples with this. I was working in I worked in a company where I was one of the junior sellers. Some of the senior sellers had the same amount of capacity that I had and knowledge of the product. They knew how to ask questions. They knew how to prospect. I mean, they knew some of them had more knowledge than I did of the product. They knew all the functionality of being a great seller. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
But after 6 months of doing this, I was outbeating them. What was the difference? It was the belief, because I came in with this belief that I am going to prospect because there are people out there that have the need for what I have. I mean, for me, I'm a spiritual person. So every day I used to, pray, and whoever you pray to, I said, help me be led to those who are in need of what I have to offer. So now the belief in my mind was that there's somebody out there that needed what I had to offer. It just now comes down to me applying the tactical things. Most of these other people, they went into work, and because they had so much experience doing sales, they were like, cold calling is tough, so it doesn't work. You're not going to get a hold of anybody, or the product is outdated, so it's not going to work. It's hard to convince them. We need better collateral. Because they had all of this experience already, they just try to find another fault to everything else, as opposed to looking at the belief that there's someone they need to get hold of. And when that happened to me, I realized this stuff is not complicated, but you must have a belief in succeeding, that you can succeed. And it doesn't matter what it is, because you see people in companies who are doing horrible and they're still thriving. Like, how in the world did this person thrive? How in the world did they succeed? And if the company is really, really bad and it has to go out of business, those people usually bounce back. And I saw that in COVID here, where salespeople who were working in an industry that got hit really bad, and they were top performers, they just didn't quit. Some people said, well, we don't have work. My company's out, so I'm going to go on unemployment. And they just sat around and did nothing. While some people said, well, my companies went down. My industry is gone. I'm going to find something else. And there's a guy one of the guys I know named John, a top performer, but his industry was doing bad, and his company had to let go a lot of the team members. But he went ahead and he started selling himself to new companies and got a nice job during the middle of the pandemic, and it's succeeding. What's changed between him and everybody else? It was the belief system. It was the mindset. And that's the reason why I'm such a believer that this is the most important. I could teach you the product knowledge. I could teach you how to sell. But if you don't have this, you're done already.
Yeah. So, because for me, the very next question is to go, it's like, we need a belief system. We need to know how to put that in place. But the question is, how do we put that in place? Mm-hmm. So do you follow a strategy? How do you get people to reframe and readjust on how they set up their own belief system?
Very good question. There are several things that we do. We're actually doing a webinar later this week, and we're going over it. So this is like perfect timing. There are several pieces that ties back to building a bulletproof mindset, or building a mindset that succeed. So one, I like to first go back to the foundation of it all. What is your purpose as the individual? Because even if you have a purpose for what you're doing, something, then it usually helps you to build that strong belief in success. So the first part is maybe, and Simon Sinek calls it your why. Some people call it your motivation. Some people call it your passion or whatnot. But it must be something that you have, whether that's to make money, and you can say that's a good motivator or not. Who cares? Whatever it is gonna. There are different levels of things that motivate people. But if money is your motivator, fancy yourself. Great. Maybe it is to provide for your family. Perhaps it is to go on vacation all the time. You want to go to Thailand with your family, or to Barbados, or to New York, wherever it is. But in order to get there, you need to do something to generate the money. There must be some kind of fulfillment that you must have. And again, each of these levels may be greater than the other. So for me, I always I grew up poor, and we were homeless. Let's back that up. We were houseless at one point. Homeless, not necessarily because our friends and families took us in. And I was able to live with one of my best friends for a year. It was a wonderful experience. My mom, brother, and sister were able to live with one of our cousins until she was able to get back on her feet. This was in high school. But in that process, I recognized the challenges and difficulties. And I said, I would never, ever let my family be in a situation like that. If there's anything in my power, it will never happen again. So that pushed me that I wanted to make sure that I could thrive. And a way that I could do that was to find a way to generate money, something that I was passionate for. And the passion that I have is to help people and to be able to solve problems and to, create opportunities. And then it's so be it that what drives me every single day when I get up, it's like when it's hard, when it's difficult, or when I can't find somebody, I'm gonna, like even like today, we were joking beforehand how tough of a morning we had. Even with all of that, it still puts in my mind that if I don't do this, there's an opportunity that I might not be able to take care of my family in the long run. And I want to make sure they're fine. And I want to be able to succeed. I never want to be in that situation again. So that pushes me to be able to perform. And then also, I just know internally that I could do better than what I did yesterday. So when a salesperson, when I'm working with them, I try to figure out, when we coach them, what is your why? What is it that motivates you? We help them discover that. Once we help them discover that, then we start helping to build their belief system or confidence. So now if they have a product or service that they're selling, there's a reason why that product or service is being sold, right? There must be something. So usually when the founder created the company, maybe she or he was doing really well and it got a lot of customers that jumped on. What problem did they solve? I like to look at the case studies, talk to our current customer, and hear why they like what we have to offer so much. Let's just say if I'm selling bottles of water, right? Yeah. That's what my company sell. Everybody's selling these bottles of water. But why is my company making money selling bottles of water? Why does our customers like this? I'm new to the company. I want to hear why they like that. Once I can hear customers and their success with it, coupled with the belief that I have, now I've just, quote unquote, drank the Kool-Aid. And I see why people like it. Now that builds my confidence to go and find somebody else just like this person. And know that I could solve a problem for them because we've solved a problem for all these other people who are currently buying our bottles of water. Those things are bedrock that I typically like to help with the individual. There's more that you could go into when it comes to belief, but usually those are like the foundational parts of building a belief system. There's some, you could go into the neuroscience behind it of how our brain work, because we as human beings, we're like a computer. And I saw this post the other day, just makes so much sense. We're like a computer, and that which we program into it will perform naturally. The way that we view the world will translate into our behaviors and into our action. But if you're not programming here properly with a nice motivation, or with confidence, or with the positivity, then it's just going to be focused on negativity. The human brain, I think, has like 15,000 thoughts. I can't remember, 75,000 thoughts. It was some crazy number per day. Yeah. And I think 85% of those thoughts are negative. I don't look too good. I have a fat stomach. My hair doesn't look good. I'm going to fail at this. 85%. So if we can eliminate that 85 and down to say like 50%, we're going to make somebody perform a lot better. And the way they can do that is have the motivation, have the belief on an outlook on life, have a positive outlook, and feed themselves with like affirmations, which is the next thing that we could talk about that helps them to be able to fortify good stuff. I've been going a little bit there. I get too passionate about this stuff, Kevin. You can tell.
I know. I absolutely love it. I resonate so much with what you're saying. Is way back when I did some training for one of the call centers, banks in South Africa, and the entry point for me was to do training for sales for their team leaders, and we did that. And putting the content together, I realized that, you know what, for me, a lot of the time people don't even know what cultivating confidence looks like. So the fact that you're mentioning that, you know, it's such a key takeaway for me as well. And it makes so much sense, because I do believe that confidence, people have that idea, you know, especially when you're in a sales position, and you might not be that confident. They always look at confident people kind of going, oh, you know, I'm not like that person. I'm not that confident. But yet confidence is a state, you know, it's a state of mind that you can cultivate. You just need to know how to step into that and how to cultivate that, what that strategy of behavior is more relevantly. And the better you get at that, the more cultivating the confidence you actually get to, you know. So the fact that you're saying that it's such a significant point for me. But tell me, where do you sit on the why you're selling versus what you're selling? Because you know, it also lends itself very often to people get stuck on what they're selling. Because, you know, if you're selling bottled water or you're selling a cell phone, it's just the object. Why you're selling it really lends itself to what it is you're doing and why you're doing it, right?
Yeah, it does. So let's go back. I love using the water example. And in college, I did sell water 3 years in a row in the summertime.
And everybody needed some, right?
Everybody. And we discovered a problem, Kevin. I was talking to my property managers at the apartment where I lived, and they were in this town. It was a college town, and they've been there for, you know, several years. So more than I have. And they noticed something. They're like, there's a problem that happens during the 4th of July parade. There's so many people, and it's always, you know, there's an opportunity to make some, you could go around and sell water because people will be thirsty. And it's like an all-day thing. And I'm like, interesting. So first year, I went ahead and got a booth. I paid for the permit and all that stuff, set up a booth in the park. And I think I spent about $50, and I think I made about $30. So I didn't really make too much money on that one. Was a weak venture. But I realized, what we started to realize at the very end of the day was that if you walked around, people weren't coming to a booth to buy water. You needed to walk around and get to the customers. So we started to do that, and then I started to the next year, and then after that, I went to a bigger city in the area, and it started to thrive with it. So the product, what I saw was, obviously there were other people selling water as well, but what I saw that happened was I needed money for college. I needed money to be able to take care of myself. And then I also brought other people on, and I also made an investment. So I made a bigger investment the second year. So I needed to fulfill it. And I like to win, not necessarily win at outbeating other people, but I needed to win. And the win in this case was generating enough money to take care of the expenses and get some money to take care of my personal life. So that propelled me. So when it comes to what you're selling, it doesn't really matter. If you can sell look at companies that are in the market share, they're probably at the middle of the market. They don't have a greater product. They don't have a subpar product. Their product's just like, they're all right. But what the product is capable of doing is solving a problem for people. And then the seller, if they have a belief that that's true, and they see that it does work, and they can go ahead and paint a picture to the buyer, they're going to succeed. That's what typically happens. And the same, because you'll find people in the mid-level, they'll be like, if the product was cheaper, and then people working with the cheaper product, let's say it's the product of $15, $10, and $20. You know, people in a $20 company be like, our product's too expensive. We don't get enough of the market. People in the middle company might say, well, the product is just not as great as a $20 product, or it's not as cheap as the cheap product. And then the cheap people will say, well, our product is too cheap, so nobody wants it. There's always an excuse. There is. But if you can focus on the people, maybe there's some cheap people that can't afford $10. That's the market you go after. If there's some people that are spending the $10, but they can't spend the $20, then that's a good market. You go for that. And the $20 people, don't ever worry about the other people. You must sell why your $20 product is so much better. What problems is it going to solve so much easier for them? And there's a market for that. But if you have the belief that, yes, I need to succeed, 2, that the product is great and help people, then 3, it doesn't matter what you're selling. It's just a matter of how you can solve that problem for the buyer and being able to articulate that problem. So that's where the skill set comes in part. And that's easy to train people on. The mindset, the believing that stuff is the hardest part in my book, I personally think.
And in terms of, as you're talking, I'm just thinking, because a lot of the times people have an unspoken fear that goes hand in hand with all of what you're saying here. So,
yeah.
And do you think when you get to that purpose and that motivation and you cultivating confidence, do you think it sort of obliterates the fear or like gets rid of it? Or do you think fear still plays quite a big role in, where does fear sit in terms of what you're doing?
Not at all. Fear is always there. I've spoken in front of thousands of people, and I've won national competitions, and been a part of the top 30 speakers in the world. But the thing about it, when it's all said and done, I still have fear. The issue is managing that fear. Fear isn't a bad thing. I mean, fear, if you think about it from like you're in Africa. I'm not sure if you went on any safaris. It's one of our dreams to go on a safari. But if you go on a safari, I'm sure naturally you and the Bushman, you probably see them out there. They probably learned over the years, lions are bad. Lions can kill you. So that lion can eat you. So the motivation that you have is like, okay, I can fear the lion. But if I understand over, hundreds of years how to handle the lion, then I can perform better. Right? The fear, if I don't want to go out there and be stupid and just go walk in front of a lion's den. If I don't have fear, then I'm going to do stupid stuff. It's kind of like not having pain. If you don't have pain, I went to the dentist recently and they gave me some Novocaine in my mouth. And the dentist was like, do not go and eat right now because you don't have pain. Because if I go and start eating, start chomping down, I could cut off my tongue. Right? So the pain is important. So that fear is important to the Bushman just as much as the fear is important to you as a seller. It's harnessing that fear. Not letting that fear cause you to stop doing what you're doing, but letting that fear propel you to do it in the right way, or you refocusing that energy, that worry, and that fear. And making a cold call to a prospect, we don't have to worry about going into a lion's den. However, we do have to make sure we know what we're going to say so that we can sound articulate to the buyer, or so that we can solve a problem to the buyer. So that fear causes us to know, okay, I need to be prepared before I go into the conversation, but it shouldn't debilitate you from or prevent you from performing. It then should help. You can help harness that fear and say, let's start focusing on the bad part of it. And how can it focus on pushing my adrenaline to say, I want to make more of these calls now. And you could channel that. So every time I get in front of a speaking situation, I listen to music to get into the zone, take that fear and channel it into a different part of my energy, into an excitement, to a performance. So I have that now. And then 2, I then make sure that I envision what I'm going to do. I'm envisioning that I'm going to make that call and that the person is going to have interest and that I'm going to set an appointment. And when I can do that, boom, money in the bank.
I love it. So in terms of, have you noticed a big shift in how we do sales from 12 months ago to today, considering COVID has had the effects that it has had? Do you think the approach has changed? Do you think there are nuances that really people should start paying attention to? What is your take on COVID and sales in COVID, I suppose?
Yeah. I have so much on this, Kevin. The first part,
fantastic.
The first part is that I believe COVID was as much as it has been a huge nuance, it's been a huge benefit for company and for the business world in general and at large. And let me explain why I feel that way. It's a strong, strong belief or a strong declaration.
Statement,
Yeah, because here's why. When it comes towards the way that we did business, COVID showed us that we were doing things inefficient and we could do it a lot better. I won't go too much in the business side, but I'm going to focus on the sales arena. I mean, for instance, when people sent out emails, buyers tolerated the blast or the crappy emails. Right. Because they had money, they had opportunities, life was good. It was in a bull market, so to speak. Now it's a bear market where people are worried that they don't have enough money to be able to take care of their employees, much less to go invest in nice, fancy water for their offices. So, and if this is the case, people are still going to need water, How do we then make sure that the value that we're presenting is better? And the way that buyers are looking at this right now, they're watching their pennies, they're watching their dollars. They're not going to invest in something that's not going to give them a return. And they're not going to give you a time of the day with those crappy outreaches, because it's going to be more of like nuances or a problem. So they're deleting the crappy emails, but they're opening and connecting with the personalized messages. And that's the change that happened in a sales game. It was something that should have been going on, something that we've been doing for a long time. And I'm not just tooting my own horn with this. Anyone, it's been archived. You can go back and listen to our podcast. I have believed in the platinum rule. The golden rule is you treat others the way that you would like to be treated. And to elevate the golden rule, we go to the platinum rule. The way that everyone wants to be treated is you personalize it. And the platinum rule states that you treat others the way that they would like to be treated. So I'll give you an example that we do in our company. It's funny, I have it right here on my desk. So let's say I'm trying to reach out to you, Kevin. If I sent you a cold email, or I reach out to you and connect on LinkedIn, make a personal connection, not just like one of those things, hey, I want to add you to my network. I must give value. So I might say, or just, make it authentic, personalized. It doesn't have to give too much value. I might say, hey, Kevin, and I've seen this and I've tried this strategy. Kevin, I'm not going to do one of those cheesy LinkedIn messages. I saw that you're a sales leader right here in my backyard in South Florida. I figured it would be great to connect. Permission to connect. Oh, okay. This guy first off sent me a personal message. He tells me that it's not cheesy and not doing one of those, we have 15 mutual connections and I would like to expand my level of friends. Boo, boo, boo. Just tell him straight up. I want to, just want to cut to the chase. I saw you in my backyard. Figured it'd be great to connect with you. Then what I do, you use tools like hunter.io. You get their email address, or you go to their website. You probably can find that. And maybe a few days later, you send them a personal email. Kevin, I looked at your business, saw what you're doing. We work with a lot of sales leaders in your space as well. I would love to share with you an idea that could help you. Maybe you don't bite on that. So I send you a personal card in the mail. We've done this too. So after the LinkedIn connection, we've done this where we send them, maybe not send that first email, but we send them the personal card in the mail. And we write a simple little note, a handwritten note, wet ink, right? To those people. We're focusing. We're not trying to send it to 1,000 people. We're sending to maybe 50 people who are a good fit for us. So we send them a personal handwritten note, and it says something to the nature of, like, Kevin, thank you so much for connecting last week on LinkedIn. I was looking over what you guys are doing at, Kevin Company, and I had an idea that can help your sales rep ramp faster. Are you open to a virtual coffee break, 5 to 7 minutes? I included a Starbucks gift card, so you don't even have to go and spend money on it. And I put a $5 Starbucks gift card in that, put in an envelope, send it in the mail. Open rate, about 60 to 70, maybe about 100%. We had a couple, I'm not going to say 100, probably about 80%, because a couple of them didn't go to the right place. But they got back to us. But the ones that opened it, we had 70% rate with appointment. Compare that to a cold email. It was personalized. It was conversation, and it led to bigger opportunities. And that's what COVID has done. It has evolved the way that we do outreach, and you can't do that blanketed. So I relish in the idea, not that there's the bad part that came with it, with the death and a lot of the emotional side that came from this horrible virus. But I do feel that we have things that happen in life, especially in the business world, that helps us to change or reevaluate what we're doing. And the way we were doing business before, the way we were doing outreach, must change because of COVID teaching us that. And people are conditioned now. Once they get these personal messages, let's say COVID, everything goes back, we get a vaccine. You think the world is going to go back to want to say, okay, please start sending your crappy emails again. It's not, they're going to be conditioned like, oh crap, these guys were personalizing it. If I stop doing that, I'm going to be seen as it's not par anymore. Par is personalized. And that's what I would say to it with everything, your phone calls, your emails, your outreach. It needs to be personalized to the buyer, and it needs to be directly tied to a problem that they have that you could immediately solve.
Yeah. One word comes to mind, and I'm guilty of it. I definitely can do more and use better strategies. But it's almost like it's become the lazy man's way of selling. like lazy,
It,
like just like lazy is the word. And I know it's a strong kind of statement or word to use, but I think we've entered the space in the world where kind of we have to consider that how we engage, what we do, and who's doing it better than the next guy is really important, because
yeah.
people will be innovative and come up with ways to do stuff and connect with people, like you say, on a platinum kind of way, like really personalize it. I love that. I think it's so significant, and so many people don't do that. I receive hundreds and thousands of emails like this all the time, where I'm going, oh, it's just spam. I don't even want to see it. I like don't want to read it. I don't. So I also try and be very personal, especially when I'm linking with people on LinkedIn, where I literally will answer LinkedIn messages myself, and
Yes.
yeah. So I'm so glad that you raised that as a significant point. But if
Can
you
I
could,
share one more thing that tie back to that real quick?
absolutely.
So going back to, you mentioned LinkedIn messages, and LinkedIn has made it, it's kind of like, when somebody just wants you to succeed and they're like, here, just do this and it will work for you. It's kind of like, take my money. So LinkedIn now made it super easy. What I like about that, if anyone used the LinkedIn app, if there's one thing you got from the meeting today, this is your golden tip. LinkedIn now has the audio function.
Yeah.
They have audio function. You could send videos inside the LinkedIn app, not necessarily on the browser per se, but on the application, you could send that. And then also you utilize like tools like we use BombBomb internally and Vidyard to send embedded emails to our clients. So then now in COVID era, imagine you getting an email from me with my little dog, my pooch or whatever, is barking and making noise. And I'm able to say, hey, Kevin, just like you, I'm working from home today and my coworker is being super loud. But I just want to do a personal connection. Thanks so much for the LinkedIn connection the other day. I sent you something in the mail. You're probably going to see it in the next day or two, but I will reconnect with you. Hope you have a good day. Let me go take care of this coworker. Talk to you soon. Shut up. But that's personal, because the person's going to relate. They're going, yeah, I got a dog too, or I got a cat, or I know exactly where he's coming from. He's in his kitchen and I'm in my kitchen or my home office, because that's where the world is. So think about that. I know in order for you to sometimes break through this monotony that we are thinking, is to be vulnerable. And the more vulnerable we become, the better we're going to be. We had a training this morning with our sales team, and I was doing some videos with them till I showed them how to do some video. And it's just comes back down to help them being vulnerable and just being human. And even in our meeting, when we have talk of being vulnerable, talking about their problems, where you have the most difficulty, then we have the biggest breakthrough. And going fast forward and to go back to the LinkedIn thing, using the voice message on LinkedIn, it's people, when you can go an extra mile or extra yard, people will say, wow, that person didn't have to do that, but they did that for me, personally for me.
Yeah.
I should listen to what they have to say.
Yeah, and inevitably, I think Tony Robbins speaks about it often. The one common denominator that we have as humans is we want acknowledgement.
Yeah.
The moment you acknowledge me as someone on the other side of this conversation, I feel acknowledged, and therefore respond in a way that you probably will you find more appealing than when I kind of do it as all the spam kind of stuff that we do, right?
Yeah.
when it's more of an acknowledgement of the actual person you're speaking to, it makes such a big impression. So if you could leave us with some tips on sales today, what could we take away from some? I mean, the platinum rule. I'm like, that's all the tips we need, people. It's right there. That's all we need for the day, for the rest of the year, really.
If you apply the platinum rule, you'll make money. Yeah. So sorry. The first tip that I would give you is you need to be vulnerable and ask yourself this question. Yeah. You need to don't lie. I posted this in our Facebook group. If you want to go check it out, it's called the Sales Evangelizers, Evangelizers. Evangelizers. Yeah. There you go. So make sure I spell it right. Evangelizers, but Sales Evangelizers. But in that Facebook group, we posted a comment, and I told people, be honest with yourself, or be honest. Do you feel that you're performing to your full potential as a sales rep right now? And it's interesting to see the comments. Some people are saying no. Some people are saying yes. Some people are saying I'm at a halfway mark. I'm at a partial mark. And the reason why I ask that question is because I feel that inside each and every one of us, we have capabilities to do amazing things. If you think about it, somebody like you and me in 3 years, or I forgot what number it is, they're going to step foot on Mars. It's like this craziness, like within the next 10 years. I know it's shorter than that, but let's just put it out there, 10 years. But we know we are building a lunar base right now, and it sounds sci-fi, but it's not somebody that's like a Martian or has green blood from planet Krypton. It's a human being that was able to study and understand physics and understand, space. And that individual was put on a rocket, is going to be put on a rocket put together by another hundreds of thousands of human beings like you and me. And we're going to create a way to push this person to get to Mars, which is millions of miles away.
Yeah.
When I think about stuff like that, and I think about where we've come as mankind and our capability, I'm like, for me to reach out to someone and help them solve a problem in their business, that seems so minuscule. Surely I could do that. Surely I can help somebody else. And it's not about, so the first part is asking yourself, am I doing the stuff to my full potential every single day? And if your answer isn't, I'm on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being I'm doing the best of my ability, then that's a great evaluation to say, okay, what can I do to get to the next step? So that's the first step. That's the first tip. The second tip that I would give you is then once you realize where you have the lack, where you have the delta or the gap between where you are and where you want to be, then you make an honest commitment to change that. You can listen to podcasts, you can read books, they can listen to radio programs like what you have, they can go on YouTube videos, and also there's tons of content out there, but you have to make that commitment. And it comes down to consistency. The greats, no matter if they're performing at the top of their game or if they're brand new, the greats always, every single day, are committed to succeeding towards their potential. So let's say I figure out that my thing is I just don't know how to use the phone. I want to be better, and I think that's what's holding me back from hitting my true potential. I don't pick up the phone. Watch some videos on how to make a phone call, a cold call, and then practice that every single day. And invest in yourself too. Invest in programs that can help you to do that. And the third thing, so now that you had an honest evaluation, then 2, you figure out where you need to fix the gap and you start doing some studies on that. Make sure your belief system is in place too. You can always put this in any other order, but your belief system of evaluating, do I have something that's pushing me? And do I really believe that I can solve people's problem? And if you can't believe in the product that you're selling or the service, then go find another product or service that you could believe in. You do not have to stay with a product or service. There's certain things that I totally don't believe in, so I'm never going to probably have the confidence to push that. So therefore, I only go to things that I truly can evangelize about. That's passionate to me and to my heart. And then once I have all of those things in place, those basic things, I mean, it's easy after that. It's super easy. Once you have the belief, once you understand that you're truly pushing your true potential, you recognize where your gap is. I mean, you're just problem solving. You're helping people solve their problems with the product that you're inviting them to check out. That's it.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love that. Don, if we want to tell us more about just you mentioned that you have a sales conference happening this weekend. But tell us more about the events that you are doing and sharing, and also about the podcast. I know that that goes out all the time, and some really, really interesting stuff that you can hear and learn. And you also speak to a bunch of experts and people, authors and people who've been in the game for so many years. But tell us more about where we can get hold of you and hear all about what you're doing.
Thank you for asking. So the way that our business work, we've been doing training way before, and I want to say we recognized online was easier and it was way more efficient. So before COVID, we did 90% of my trainings, I'll probably say about 80% were done online as opposed to travel and delivering that to organizations. So let me stop swiveling around in my chair. But in in the first place that we have a sub-level, our programs, I'm just going to list them up, but we do these virtual programs and we have different dates that we have them scheduled for, and people can register for them and jump into one of those programs. But the first one is a mindset. That mindset course, the mastermind is a sales mastermind. Anyone could jump into that mastermind, and we start a new mastermind every 3 months. We max it out at 10 people per group. And sometimes we run multiple masterminds, but in these masterminds, it's individual come with a particular challenge. And then over the 3 months, we work together to help give that person, the group, help to elevate that group to perform. And but it's a group of people that we put together in that mastermind. The next level we have is an entry level. It's our mindset course, and that's called Sales Pro. It's a thought patterns for high performance sellers, and in that we partner with an organization called the Pacific Institute, and they have over 50 years of neuroscience, and we come with the skill set side of sales. And with this amazing program, it helps to break down and help sellers to understand how they can build a bulletproof mindset to succeed. That goes for about 3 weeks. It's 2 hours a day, and we do 2 days a week for that program. And it's 8 modules altogether. Absolutely fun. By the time we get done, people have a bulletproof mindset and they're ready to go to the skill set side. And then we have another program on top of that called TSC Certified. It's a foundational program, so Sales Foundation. And that goes for another 8 modules where people can get 8 weeks, but 12 modules altogether. And individuals do the video training, and then we come together for a group training, a discussion. So those are our 3 major programs that we offer. And then obviously companies hire me to come speak at their sales kickoff or the conferences, and then I do one-on-one coaching, but I do that very selective of who I do one-on-one coaching with because of the time. So that's kind of like our business. And consultancy companies will hire me to come and consult, and we do. Those are usually huge projects where we help overhaul their sales process or help them develop a process if they've never had anything in it. And then we have a podcast. So as you mentioned, we produce 3 episodes a week, 2 with a guest, and so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And every Wednesday I share 1 episode. And it's absolutely fun. We just interviewed Kevin Harrington, and it went live last week. He was, Kevin that was on Shark Tank as one of the sharks. So it was cool. He just had a new book, Mentor into Millions. Have it at home on my desk, but it was a fun episode. But we get guests like that because they could bring a high caliber level of knowledge that can help us to perform at our next, extra level. So that's kind of like us. If you want to get connected with me, the best way, I'm going to give you the easiest thing you can do. You can do 2 options. One, go to the salesevangelist.com, and then you can also just /training and check out one of our training programs. Again, the salesevangelist.com /training. Or 2, you can go ahead and simply just go to LinkedIn and search Donald C. Kelly and tell me that you heard me here on with Kevin, and it'll be me responding, personal communication, and we could share more about our programs if that's your desire. But absolutely. Donald C. Kelly.
Donald, it's been an absolute pleasure, and it's so what's the word? It's so infectious the way you speak about sales. I kind of like, damn, let me just do some calls quickly before I. So, thank you. It's so nice to. It's so great to feel the energy that you share about it, and I think it's so many more people can gain from listening to it. So obviously all of this information that you're sharing will be in the description box below. Guys, if you want to find out more, check it out. It's the Sales Evangelist on the podcast. You can check it out there, and you can also check out the website, and of course Donald shared the LinkedIn account, Donald C. Kelly. Donald, thank you so much. Thank you for the time, and thank you for the insights. I'm so going to be getting stuck on my platinum rules right away.
There you go. Well, thank you again, Kevin, and I appreciate all you're doing. And if you're listening to Kevin and you haven't done so already, I want you guys to invite somebody else to come and listen to him, because he's producing some amazing stuff, and we need more people in the world to hear the goodness. So I recommend you all go find somebody and tell them about Kevin's show, and get them to come over here as well. So
fantastic. Thank you so much. Donald, have a wonderful day. I appreciate it.
You too, brother. Thank you.
Cheers, man. Bye-bye.